This energy drink is doing nothing for me, Jason.
This beer is doing wonders for me, but not the kind of wonders that I need right now. What I need right now is some crack cocaine.
So you didn't appreciate the Ambien that I slipped you earlier?
No, it was not helpful.
You're going to remember this tomorrow? We could just
No.
do some rails.
But why is Abe Vigoda sitting over there wearing a bunny hat?
Don't worry about Abe Vigoda. Abe Vigoda is minding his own business.
I got beef with Abe Vigoda.
Okay, well, we'll save it for later. And welcome, everybody, to Rage Select. I am Jeff.
I'm Jason.
And this is our recap of our first day at E3 where Jason got your E3 cherry pop.
Yeah, Clusterfuck Tuesday, as I like to call it.
But you know what? Before we go into what we saw today, we missed something pretty important yesterday when we were talking about the conferences.
Yeah, only one of the most badass trailers.
Yes, and that was at the Microsoft conference.
Don't tell them what it was. Describe it. Lay it out for them.
It's a desert, and there's some dude that was all... I don't... now, maybe you can describe this to me because you're a learned individual who's a few years older than I am. Why is it that when you're walking around in the desert, you've got to be covered in, like, rags and tarpaulins and everything?
The sun.
But why can't you get, like, a Lawrence of Arabia thing going on? Why have it all, regular, not just... It always seems like you just tore up a bunch of like potato sacks and then wrapped them around your head or whatever.
Yeah, like you're on SETI Alpha 5 or something.
Exactly. No, but so we see a figure walking around with the aforementioned desert rags strapped up all over them.
Many of you have already probably seen this.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. We've got to maintain the mystique. Let's maintain the mystique. So then, like, there's this giant, and there's this rumbling, and there's shit, and they're, oh my god, this huge robot's coming out of the sand, and oh fuck, what? And then the figure reaches up and pulls the burlap sack off their head. And, holy shit, it's Master Chief!
Yeah, Halo. It was a badass trailer, and I don't even care about Halo, but this trailer was just kick ass.
It's when we were talking about it before, when we said that we missed it. It's funny because we were talking about how, once again, this is the sort of trailer that makes, like, the trailer for Dragon Age 3 look like bollocks.
As if Dragon Age 3 needed any help looking like bollocks. That trailer was already just garbage dick.
But what was cool about the Halo, I'm assuming it's Halo 5 trailer, was that they rolled into it without any of this... Hey, here's another trailer for a game from a franchise that we know you guys. It was just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And which made it have all the impact in the world when it was just like, Master Chief, what? So yeah. But outside of that, they didn't really show dick else for Halo 5, so.
No. I'm wondering if they're like, okay, Halo's dead. We're farming that out and it's going to live out its golden years, once a year or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I think maybe they're, I don't know, trying to put all of their effort, into another franchise. Cause maybe they're like, okay, well, the golden days of Halo are gone. Maybe. I don't know. I'm wondering why they gave it, very little attention. And
yeah.
They didn't even mention it. Halo wasn't even said once.
It could just be, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say that it's probably late 2014 before we'll see that game. So they were just teasing it now.
They're not farming them out or not churning them out every year?
I don't believe so.
I thought that's what they were going to try to do.
Well, they have there's some, I don't remember the exact name of it, but there's Halo Spartan something or other that is coming out for Windows 8 and I think Xbox One that's like a top-down shooter.
What?
Based in the Halo universe, like a dual joystick shooter or something. But, here's the thing. If Halo 5 was coming out in October along with every other goddamn game in the video game world, which I think we're going to die in October, Jason. You guys, it's been a fun ride and everything, but this Halloween, Jason and I are just going to be dead.
That's what we thought last Halloween.
Well, that's true. But if there was a release date for it, you sure as shit can believe they would have put that on stage.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point.
So, we don't really know much more than that, but I just didn't want to be accused of like, oh, you guys hate Halo so much you didn't even talk about it.
That was a badass trailer. It was great.
It was great. I thought it was wonderful. We just honestly, you get into this game spiral where you've just got a hurricane of games floating around your head all day long.
All of them jockeying for position and your attention span.
Like when we came back here, we were listing out the games that we looked at today, and it was like, what was that other one? What was that? Oh yeah, Saints Row 4, right?
Right. Yeah, it turns into a blur very quickly. My first entry into the hall with all the games, there for about an hour, I was just rocked with sensory overload.
Yeah.
It became, okay, I need to go over here, and I need to try to make this Lights. There are 4 lights.
Well, because I honestly thought, and we can talk before we go into the individual games. We can talk a little bit about just how stuff is laid out. Is you got the games hall and I got the console hall pretty much today. So I was in the hall with.
So you got to play things.
Yeah, Xbox One, PS4. Well, we'll get back to that. As I think that's a great story.
It's awesome. It's a hilarious story.
But like
Bible. Fuck you.
I thought that there was going to be one of those things where they had the PlayStation 4 and they had like 2 games and there was a huge line to play it. Nope. They got those things just laying all over the place. Same with the Xbox One. Just Xbox One after Xbox One set up with games. Like some of the games like Forza or Rise, they have, like a line where they have a limited number of game stations for them. But then other things, I was able to just walk right up and play them. So they weren't hiding them like I thought they were going to. But that is a nice dovetail into you got your E3 waiting way too long in one line cherry pop today.
Yeah.
Tell us all about Titanfall, Jason.
Okay, so one of the bigger games that was announced, and this is something I've been looking forward to for a while because it's the expats from Infinity Ward when they left after the whole Fallout, and they went over and they started Respawn.
Yep.
And this is their first game.
Were either one of them there? Do you have Jason Wester, Vince Zampella?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if they were. I would have kicked them right in the nuts. Because I got in this line and I was like, oh, it's a short line. I got into the room.
Yeah.
To see what Titanfall 2.5 hours later.
Yep.
I sat in line in front of this guy who would not stop talking to me. And he was just talking, and I gave him nothing back.
Yeah.
So finally, he figured out that I was cranky. I wasn't trying to be a dick,
right?
But I was cranky. I was irritated. My feet hurt, and he was. I think he shat his pants.
Well, I know that human body odor is one of your big pet peeves, right?
Yeah.
So.
Which is bad since towards the end of the day, the hall started to smell like 6-month-old butthole.
Yeah, this bad dude smell in there.
Man, there were some guys. I was like, were you working in the fucking yard before you came up here and got in line?
Like, here's a pro tip for anyone who goes to Comic-Con, E3, or any trade show. If we all make a concerted effort to take a shower before we go, then we won't have to smell dude bro all day from each other.
And if you smell for no good reason, like unless you've been like working outside and you went to the gym, you didn't have time to shower, something like that.
Or that homeless guy who was calling me master earlier when I gave him a cigarette outside.
What was that?
I have no idea.
He kept calling you master, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, and he was this black dude.
Yeah, and
I was like, this is awkward.
Well, I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I got that one word out of it. Like the rest of his speech was completely unintelligible.
It was gibberish. It was hobo speak.
Anyway.
But I was like, oh my God, is Jeff subjugating this guy?
He asked for a cigarette. I gave him a cigarette.
Jeff going to give him his slave name now? This is fucked, dude.
No.
But we had to run away from that guy. But anyway, if you don't have any good reason, and if you're at an expo like this, you take the time to shower, period.
Right.
But if you're smelling and you have no good reason to smell, I should be allowed to kill you. I should be allowed to just murder you right there and then look at the E3 security team and just go, clean this shit up. So anyway, the guy behind me just kept repeatedly shitting his pants. The people in front of me, I think probably thought it was me.
Right.
If you're listening right now, nice people in front of me, it was not me who was shitting my pants. Someone else was shitting their pants. It was that jabbermouth dickweed behind me who was like, well, here, look at this. Yeah, look at the inside, the new MacBook Pro. I don't fucking care. Look at the size comparison between the Xbox One and the... Okay, yes, great. Yeah, I'm really excited about Garden Warfare 2. Really? Fuck off.
Well, okay.
So anyway, I'm in line forever. I get in there.
Right.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally, I get in there to see Titanfall. Now, Titanfall is it's a sci-fi thing. There are two big elements to it. You're running around shooting on foot with all sorts of sci-fi guns and all sorts of stuff like that. And then you can jump into the mechs, and they're very limber, quick-moving mechs, and you do combat like that. So I get in there, and I think, okay, after 2.5 hours, this better be pretty damn good. It was maybe 15 minutes of the developers playing multiplayer. We got to see a multiplayer match.
Uh-huh.
And it looked cool. It's very twitchy, like Call of Duty, but there was a lot of badass stuff going on, like, mech fighting.
Right.
But yeah, I got to watch someone else play multiplayer after 2.5 hours. And, fuck you.
Did it, here's one of the questions that it's been on my own mind is, like, did it look significantly better than, say, Modern Warfare, the Modern Warfare series?
No.
Somewhat better? Any better?
Yeah, a little bit better. But
Okay.
at this point, it's hard to tell.
Right.
But yeah, it was a good looking game. It was chaotic. It was, it was twitchy as hell. So if you are good at Call of Duty, you're going to find that this is an easy transition, I think, because it's that kind of rapid pace. I'm going to get my ass handed to me by a mech. There's probably some sort of word in some weird cyberpunk book for sodomy by mech. That word, that's what's going to happen to me when I try to play this game. I wish I knew for sure, but I didn't get hands-on with it, and there was no goddamn reason for me to wait in line that long. I could have just watched whatever online and gotten what I experienced in that booth.
Right. Well, at least you got the life experience of waiting in a stupid line at E3.
Yeah, thank you for that. Life experience. Go to hell.
All right. Well, let's move on from there to, we're going to kind of go a little bit back and forth here. My first thing of the day is I actually walked directly over to Sony's booth to check and see for the aforementioned line, and when there was none, I found myself standing in front of Blacklight Retribution, which is actually a sequel to a rather crappy game called Blacklight Tango Down that you might have remembered from a couple of years ago. Nope. But I didn't actually play that. I went over to the Xbox One booth and looked at the stuff in there, and I ended up, the first game of E3 for me in 2013 was LocoCycle from Twisted Pixel. Did you not see the trailer for this?
No.
Okay, so I didn't have an Xbox 360 for most of the Twisted Pixel games, so I've never played. Like, I played like a demo for Explosion Man, but I never played all the way through it, or Comic Jumper, or things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. LocoCycle is the story of this guy. I think his name is Juan. He is Latino, who has this sentient robot motorcycle called Iris. And the game...
This sounds like Heat Vision and Jack.
I don't know at what part of the game this happens, but the game basically involves this main character. I'm going to look up his name to make sure I'm not being incredibly racist here.
Yeah, it's going to be like Jerry.
Well, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's not, because he kept swearing in Spanish, because the game involves him being dragged behind this motorcycle, like he fell off of it, and his pants leg is caught on Iris. And she is driving because she doesn't understand that there's anything wrong with what's going on in this situation. So the game is kind of like this weird racing combat game, but the entire game is this guy being dragged behind this kind of psychotic lady robot motorcycle who can jump up in the air and do combos, like punching with her little front wheels, and got guns, and all these guys are trying to kill him.
Like Psykill from the GoBots?
Kind of, but more like GLaDOS meets Psykill.
Okay.
Okay, there's Iris. There's an antagonist motorcycle called Spike. Those are both acronyms. Yep, not getting anything on that. Anyway, that was the first thing that I played. It was on the Xbox One, so I got a chance to hold the controller for the first time. Mm-hmm. It feels good. There's a little bit of, it's lighter than an Xbox controller. The thing that I noticed probably most over the course of playing it was the fact that, you know how the edge of the thumbsticks on the Xbox controller it's all like soft rubber all the way to the edge? There's a real, like a kind of almost like a sandpapery like texture right around the edge of it that lets your thumb grip it a lot harder. That was the only real serious thing that I noticed. Like all the rest of the shoulder buttons and everything felt very similar. The whole thing felt a little bit lighter, but it was mostly the size, shape, and feel of an OG Xbox controller, or Xbox 360 controller, I should say. But no, LocoCycle, that was a lot of fun. I really like those guys' sense of humor, and as I understand it, every one of their games has some kind of Total Recall reference in it because they're huge fans of Total Recall. So I can't wait to get back to that. So let's hand it back to you, Jason. I think we're going to end up with I played a little bit more than you did today because of the line, but
that you could say that. The next thing I did, I went and found. I don't know if you guys know this. I've been looking forward to this for a while, but on XBLA, really soon is the Chronicles of Mystara.
Is it Chronicles or is it Shadows? Did I write that down wrong? It's Chronicles.
Well, it's Chronicles of Mystara because that which includes Shadows over Mystara.
Oh, so it's both games.
It's both games.
Okay.
Yeah, it's both of those old D&D arcade games getting ported to Xbox Arcade, and I had a lot of love for these. I didn't really get to play them much, but I remembered them fondly, and then I went and played it, and I was like, yeah, this is an old game, and it moves all clunky, and it looks like shit. And I was all excited. I keep checking online to when it comes out, and then I played it here, and I was like,
you don't care anymore?
I don't fucking care anymore.
Well, did they? I mean,
so they saved me $10 or whatever.
Why? Let me ask you specifically. What is it? I mean, it's not any fault of the port or anything. It's actually just the original game.
Yeah,
it's
the way
just the
original game. It's it's an original arcade game. Plays kind of like Golden Axe,
right?
Except you had a bunch of items you could pick up and use, like flaming potions and health potions and projectile weapons and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's a Dungeons and Dragons game. So it adheres to a lot of that lore. You fight gnolls and manticores and stuff like that.
So it was just, it was just outdated gameplay that kind of turned you off.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. I might still end up playing it possibly, but it was just so, it didn't move very fluidly and it looked like crap. And so, yeah, it was, it's an old game. I spent a few minutes on that, and it's kind of like watching an old cartoon from your youth, like, oh man, I haven't seen G.I. Joe in so long. I'm going to watch G.I. Joe because I used to watch that every day after school, and I'm going to watch it. And
then you're like,
this is fucking dumb.
This is really stupid, you guys.
Yeah, and I'm usually pretty good about adhering to that rule. That's the reason I haven't been into a Chuck E. Cheese in like 20 years.
Well, because
Chuck E. Cheese used to be Valhalla.
Right.
And now I know if I go in there, I'm just going to have a seizure and vomit all over myself.
Well, there's that, and there's also the restraining order, obviously.
Also the restraining order, but that
and the
doesn't
fact that
need to be put onto the internet.
You've watched all of those like news reports about how the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese is like there's might as well be MRSA and Super AIDS babies in there.
Yeah.
Like it's the worst place in the world.
Yeah, I make it whenever I go into anywhere that has a ball pit, I try to leave behind some used needles.
Okay, that's good.
And some AIDS that I borrowed from
secondhand AIDS.
I just borrowed it. I didn't get it. I didn't catch it. I just borrowed it.
Right.
Like, let me borrow some AIDS, bro.
Okay.
I'm gonna go leave it in a ball pit.
Can I borrow? Excuse me, ma'am. Can I get a cup of AIDS?
Yeah. You got to know the right people.
Sure.
Well, it's pretty much that simple. But yeah, Chronicles of Mystara was.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and say that while you did not like Chronicles of Mystara, I think I have the solution to your nostalgia woes, and I got a chance to play Dragon's Crown today.
Oh, the one with the tits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing anybody ever remembers, but if you can get past it, and the sorceress was one of the characters, the dev who was playing with us was playing as her. Like, seriously, it's fucking ridiculous with the animation on that stuff. But for those of you who have not seen it, this is the Vanillaware, kind of exactly like copy and paste exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Side-scrolling, medieval, fighting stuff. You get combos. There's upgrades. There's actually a loot system in place where you get stuff, and at the end of the level you can identify it. So there's a reason to go back and like grind levels with a party full of people. You can have up to 4 people. You actually pick up. There's a thing he showed us where you can pick up NPC bones, and then turn those into computer-controlled NPCs that you could fill in any empty slots if you don't have 4 people playing with you.
Huh.
But the whole thing is animated, and the art is done by Vanillaware, the guys that did like Odin Sphere and that Wii game that I can remember the name of. With really, really just brilliantly fantastic-looking 2D sprites that are painted, like hand-painted, and then they're animated, so they just look fantastic. I played this game. I've been looking forward to it, and as long as the Japanese boob sensibility doesn't turn you off with the giant boobs hanging out. I think it's a version of Chronicles of Mystara that it's as if those guys had a great love for that series and brought it because things, they have random loot drops, but then they also have there's food on the ground that you can pick up that'll let you over boost your health past 100% for attacks. We did a boss fight where it was every character using different powers. There's a dwarf that can pick enemies up, and you can pick up rocks in the environment and throw them. I played as the knight who had this kind of area of attack, like a sword attack. There was an archer, there was a magician, and there's I think 2 more classes past that. I think there's a warlock. I can't remember if there's a warlock, but I know there's definitely the lady, the Valkyrie or whatever. But yeah, that was incredibly fun. In fact, the line was so goddamn short for it that you might want to go play that tomorrow just to get the taste of Shadows of Mystara out of your mouth. Plus,
boobies,
boobs and stuff.
Boobies.
Yeah. And the guy that was playing it with me would not shut up. He was just oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, he kept TKing me, or he kept hitting me. And so as soon as we were unleashed into the level, I just got as far away from this one guy as humanly possible. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's if you're sorry, then quit putting your character by me and hitting the X button over and over again.
Yeah. There's a way to avoid this.
Right.
This button here, don't press it when you're next to me.
I guess they don't have some kind of video game test that you have to take before you're allowed into E3. But.
Any fuckhead is allowed into E3. The conversations I overheard, and a lot of times, and we kind of pride ourselves on this, well, I do anyway, a lot of times I don't even know what the hell's going on, right? I mean, that's clear.
Sure.
But the conversations I would overhear, I just wanted to look at people and go, what are you doing here?
How do you not know as much as I do?
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
You told me you heard something which at a gaming exposition should be...
I had never played any of the Assassin's Creeds.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
There have been 12 of them. They give them out at 7-Eleven with a Slurpee nowadays.
I kept overhearing that with people saying stuff about games that I don't understand.
Well,
I thought, isn't everyone here somewhat of an expert?
Well, you know what? I think that the other thing maybe to consider is the fact that you and I, in particular, are... gaming habits have become bizarre. We play... Think of how many goddamn games we played last year.
I don't want to. I really don't want to.
All right, well, why don't we move on to one of the next things that
is
you
on my
played?
list?
Yeah,
okay. This steaming pile. Killer is Dead.
What's that one?
This was developed by a company called Xseed, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
And it's all cel-shaded. It's
Grasshopper Manufacture. Oh, it's a Suda51 joint.
What is
no wonder you didn't like
Xseed
it.
is one of the publishers. Okay, yeah. It's a Suda51 thing. No wonder I didn't like it. Yeah, it plays a lot like Ninja Gaiden or...
Where was it? I want to go play it. I like Suda51.
I don't think it was far from the Konami thing.
What was it about? The main... Mondo Zappa receives jobs from Bryant Execution Firm, run by a cyborg named Brian Moses.
Yeah.
Tasked Mondo with killing dangerous criminals and assassins. All right.
Giant black dude, cyborg, not named Cyborg, from DC, which is what he looked like. His name was Brian the cyborg.
Was he less racist than the black dude in that one of the first games we played in 2012? You remember that had the pimp? The cyborg pimp with the giant flame gauntlets.
Oh, yeah. God, what was that?
Anyway.
It was trash. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. This was just one of those, played like Revengeance or Ninja Gaiden, where there wasn't any jumping, though, but there was a lot of that just you're faced with 4 or 5 guys, slash them all up while they're attacking you and, pull cool moves and combos. But it's all cel-shaded and it's super stylized.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so stylized to the point that it looks like you were encountering some sort of catastrophic graphics error. It looks like shit.
Yeah?
It looks bad.
Really?
And I know this is an artistic choice, but it's a horrible artistic choice.
Okay, I gotta see what this looks like. I gotta look up a screenshot here real fast.
It looks terrible.
Because I really dig... I know Suda51 is a flaw... Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Like this stuff? Like kind of like this right
Oh,
here.
yeah, and at one point,
So that's just No More Heroes.
no,
Killer 7.
Yeah, kind of, but it didn't look that good either.
Like this.
It looked more like
garbaged
that.
up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a part where like.
Sorry for you at home that can't see the pictures we're looking at.
Yeah, some of the pictures that Jeff pulled up actually looked pretty good, but the game and the gameplay itself was just horrible. But yeah, there's all sorts of insane stuff in there, but like this little like schoolgirl or something, whenever you heal, you like fall on the ground or something, and she comes and she pounds on your chest, and then when you're done, she just gets pulled back up to heaven, just and throws a little peace sign, and then just disappears. It's like, what is this?
Okay, this sounds like one of those things that's way too Japanese for you.
It was very Japanese.
And it sounds like one of those things that's just Japanese enough for me. So.
And I was trying to be polite because one of the guys on the development team was standing there coaching me through it.
Were you talking shit to Suda51 to his face? God, I hope not.
No, I wasn't. It was some kid.
Okay.
Maybe he was probably just a contractor, somebody that they tempt. But yeah, he turned around to like answer a question to somebody, and I just threw down smoke pellets. I was like, I'm out.
He just walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's for those of you who've never been to E3, there's sometimes like you'll be waiting behind somebody to play a game, and it'll be like, we'll just segue this over into, I played some Lost Planet 3 multiplayer, and there was a guy who was playing it, and then he put down his controller before the match had ended, so then I stepped up, and there was like 2 minutes left in the match, and I played that, and then everybody else stepped away so that somebody else could take their place, and I was just like, I only played this for 2 minutes, man. I'm staying. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. But Lost Planet 3 multiplayer, are you a fan of Lost Planet?
No, I've never really played them.
I kind of wanted to play the first one, but I didn't have an Xbox at the time, and then I wanted to play the second one, but everybody said it was garbage, so... But they were just showing the multiplayer component of it, and it was basically just a third-person action game. Like, everybody has this grapple, and that seemed like the only interesting thing in it. And there was, they call them, they've got an acronym for them, like environment suits or virtual suits or something, the giant mechs. And there was one of those at spawn, and I went out there and killed like 5 or 6 people with that. But in general, you're looking at a fairly standard cover-based third-person shooter. They've got an upgrade system where you can customize your class with 4 different loadouts, and you can choose what you like. I played an engineer that could drop a turret or mines. I mean, stop me when you hear anything that you haven't already heard in 100 other games before. They were fighting in some kind of, it was pirates versus not pirates, because I was on the pirates team and I don't know what the other guys were called. There was no developer there to talk to me so I could ask him questions. I didn't
see. That's the thing. You're good about asking developers questions. I'm good at just leave me the fuck alone.
Well, the thing is that they come up to tell you something, and then I just start asking them question after question after question.
Yeah, we didn't expect this.
They're just like, well, if you hit because they're there to coach you through the demo. So like, if you hit the Y button, you'll activate the Superman. I'm like, hey, what day is this coming out? Who's the publisher? Who's writing the story? Which is that Nolan North? Is there multiplayer? How much multiplayer? How many guns are in the game? How many hours does it take to finish the game? And eventually the guys are like, I think that guy needs to be told to press Y, so I'm going to go over there for a little while. But in case you're wondering, Lost Planet 3 multiplayer, like okay, this is a crazy thing to say. If you are planning on buying Lost Planet 3 for the multiplayer, you might want to rethink that decision until you see some videos of it. Like, I don't know. I didn't see a single player thing for Lost Planet 3, but I didn't dive too far into the Capcom booth. So, I got distracted by the zombie cage they have outside. With the, like 6 actors and actresses dressed up like zombies, like terrorizing people who walk by.
For Dead Rising
3, yeah. So, yes, that was Lost Planet 3. And then, I tell you what, I want to hear you talk about one of those things that was, was this a trailer that we also didn't talk about from one of the conferences? That was.
I don't know. Maybe we did mention it. I don't remember.
I don't believe we did.
There really wasn't a long line to this one, but this is coming in 2014. Mad Max, which I'm a Road Warrior fan. I like Mad Max. Thunderdome's goofy, even though I quote it all the time. It's a dumb movie.
Thunderdome is all right until they get to the shit with the kids. That's kind of stupid.
Yeah, but this is being developed by Avalanche, and the wait wasn't very long, and I ended up going into their booth, which was all done up, all post-apocalyptic. There were tires and barbed wire everywhere.
Was Mel Gibson there?
Mel Gibson was there. He was actually naked.
Yeah.
And he was shoving random things into his butt.
Okay.
And screaming that he told me personally that he hopes I get raped by a pack of... No, I'm just kidding. He was not there, and the character bared little resemblance to him. And it didn't sound like him either, which is fine. But this is very reverent to the Mad Max series, and it's an open world game,
right?
With a lot of vehicular combat, and you can tweak out your vehicle, putting like a battering ram on it, essentially, or different types of harpoon guns, different tires, different carburetors, a supercharger, all sorts of stuff like that. And you go around, doing missions and trying to get scraps and parts and stuff to kit out your car, and each type of car has a different way to pull off a different mission. Mm-hmm. And they showed us this one single player mission where you get in your car and you hop out and you do some melee combat, which was insanely, awesomely fucking violent.
Oh yeah?
Holy shit.
Is this game rated M for mature?
Oh hell yeah.
It might be rated AO for nobody gets to play it.
It might, because it was just brutal. Yeah. And yeah, it wasn't terribly stylized. It was just dirty and gorgeous. I think they were playing it on a PS4. Mm-hmm. And it was, oh man, it's the best thing I've seen at the show so far.
So, what would you say the ratio to out of car to in car was, how long was what you saw?
This was probably about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
This is about 50-50, but the guy giving the presentation, he was like the lead designer, I believe, or one of the producers or something. He indicated that it was more about the vehicular combat, which looked like a hell of a lot of fun.
Okay.
But yeah.
Like Interstate 76 style, kind of.
I mean, it's hard to draw comparisons to that, but yeah, driving along and bad guys are jumping onto your car, and you've got to pop your shotgun out of the window and blast them off.
Were there guns on the cars?
I didn't see any guns on any of the cars.
Okay.
There's a harpoon gun where you could nail somebody and then make them spin out and crash.
Nice.
And blow up. But, yeah, it's all about like taking people out and scavenging parts, looting them. Looting is a big part of the game.
Do you level up?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
These are the questions you have to ask the developers.
I don't know.
Level up.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff you can kit out and level up, like a lot of the guns. So probably so. But yeah, there's a lot of the guns and stuff like that. There's a slight stealth mechanic where you can sneak up on people, and press O and drive a knife into their throat. It looks just really damn cool.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, we looked up, it's funny though, because you mentioned that, and that kind of, we saw that at one of the conferences. We might have seen it in between the conferences on the Spike feed. We saw it somewhere, the trailer for it. No, it was in one of the conferences.
It was in one of the conferences.
Because I thought, it was in the PlayStation one, because I thought it was Fallout for a moment.
Oh,
there.
right, yeah.
I think it was PlayStation. Anyway, but you were talking about this, and then we looked up the developers, Avalanche, to see what exactly they've done.
They said, well, if you know anything about our development studio, you know how we like over the top, outlandish violence. And then I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm not familiar with that. But then if you look at their history, it's like
Hannah Montana.
Like, bold. Shit, do I need to
Chicken Little?
Do I need to go back and play Hannah Montana? Because if this is a super violent Hannah Montana game, I'm in.
You didn't play the Hannah Montana game where she drives across the wasteland? She found a tank 2 days ago that can pull that rig or whatever.
Yeah. You want to get that Disney show? You talk to me.
Did Max have a Australian accent?
No. He just sounded like this.
Okay, so it was just gravelly white dude voice.
Yep, exactly. That was
there
a
a kid with a boomerang?
No, there was no kid with a boomerang. There was no Master Blaster. There was no the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. None of the Humongous. He wasn't there. Nothing like that. Yeah,
I wonder if they're going to pull one of those when they release it. They're going to be like, and also this is totally now canon in the Mad Max universe, because it'll be like. it turns out that Mad Max actually created Lord Humongous in this game on one of the side missions. And
right.
He's like, "You're fucking ugly. Put this on," and throws him a mask or whatever.
Here's a shiny hockey mask.
Yeah.
You should also have a little bitch boy chained to your motorcycle.
Well, that's cool. I'm really interested in that. I think if there was a gameplay, I might have gone out of my way to go see if I could see it. But
there was gameplay, but not hands-on.
Hands-on, yeah. Okay, well, then I'm going to go back to the Xbox One booth, and I'm going to knock out a couple of these things because I ran through a lot today. I played Project Spark. It was the second thing I played at the Xbox booth, which, for those of you who are paying attention or may not actually know that name, it was that kind of like build your own world type of game.
It was all very organic with like building the terrain and stuff like that.
Yeah. They did a thing where they were like populating orcs and putting stuff in, and then like they switched into play the game. So, this is one of the ones where I felt bad for the development guy because he was really excited about showing off how you make the terrain, the biomes and stuff like that, how you make trees and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah. Like, he was halfway through doing that, and I said, "Is there a single player component to this game?" And he looked at me like I just said, "Is your mother a fucking whore?" And he was like, "No." Where he's, "Oh no." He was very coy about it. He was like, "What do you mean by single player?" And
what do you mean by what do I mean by single player?
And what I said was, well, when I put the game in and I turn it on, is there like a game? And he seemed like he was very offended by the insinuation that I was like, though somehow I was just asking the question because I wanted to know.
Sure.
Is this a creation engine? Is it a game? Like, what the fuck is it? Something a lot of people would probably want to know. And he seemed a little miffed.
Is there a single player element? Fuck you, Jeff.
Right, exactly.
Fuck you.
And the answer is no, there is not. This game is going to be like when you load it up, the way that he described it is that when you load up the game, you'll get like a listing of the community published games that have been created using this engine. You can make your own game, you can play your own game, you can do whatever the fuck you want to in it, but that there is no like narrative, there is no single player experience without the level editor. There is basically just what other people have made in playing their games. Now, that sounds awful to me because I'm in that camp of I don't make games, I play games. I don't want to be.
Some people really want to do that, though.
Yes,
I'm curious about that.
Well,
I always like those RPG Maker and stuff like that.
And this actually seems like it's a really, really powerful thing because, like the terrain stuff. Blow me. From Dust did that. Populous did that. Raise and lower the terrain.
Populous.
Oh my god! Like holy shit.
Neverwinter Nights did that.
The SimCity 1 did that. Come on. But what was really impressive was at one point he pulls up this like object-oriented programming language that determines the entire way the game is. He's got the game set up with his little avatar, and he makes a moat and a bridge and puts some orcs on the other side. And he goes into this thing, and it actually has hooks that switch, like what kind of camera angle you have on your dude. So he had it set to third person, switched over to first person, said, "Hey, play my game," and suddenly what was a third person action game was now a first person action game. There was even a hooks in there for all of the UI elements for like health and maps and stuff like that you can add in and add out. So in the teaser that they showed for that during the Xbox conference, they showed a bunch of games that were like, this one looked like Space Invaders, this one looked like a racing game or a flying game or things like this. Unlike Little Big Planet, this seems like it's maybe even a little bit more powerful than Little Big Planet because it allows you to do more, like you don't have to cheat as much. You can just make a third person game and then create the type of terrain that you want to. That being said, I'll take a game that has an actual single-player campaign any day of the week. I mean,
see that you're actually selling me on it. I think that sounds really cool. I'll try it out.
The best part of that was definitely the guy said he asked what kind of show I did, and I explained what we do.
Yes,
and he said that, and I said, yeah. So we're probably going to have an awful lot of fun with this game in very inappropriate ways. And he said that in their office they had this metric TTP. Or time to penis, which was the amount of time that somebody played the game before they tried making dicks. And I was like, well, sure. That's what you do when you get a level editor in a video game, right?
Yeah, that's the real test of its power.
Chuck Christ made a dinosaur fire-breathing penis in Little Big Planet, like within the first 5 minutes of having the game. As soon as he understood the way the editing tools went,
It's okay, got it.
Done.
Dick time.
right. So there was that, and then some of this stuff doesn't bear as much talking about. I also played Crimson Dragon, which we didn't talk about.
What was that like? That was kind of a. Is it an offshoot of Panzer Dragoon?
Yes.
Okay.
It plays exactly like Panzer Dragoon.
Okay. See, I think we need more dragon riding games, or we need something that looks and plays similar to Panzer Dragoon, but is actually Joust.
Well, here's my.
Yes, it's a brilliant idea. You can applaud. Go ahead.
The thing with Panzer Dragoon is that when Panzer Dragoon was first released on, I believe it was the first of it was on the Sega Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should be the Sega Saturn because I played it. It was like one of the launch games that we got. There was a reason that Panzer Dragoon was Panzer Dragoon. Like it has this rogue assault, like fixed camera path through the level. You're not really controlling that. You're basically just controlling where your dragon is on the screen. You could turn around on the screen, lock onto enemies, and shoot and kind of avoid incoming and outgoing fire. To me, that was fine on the Saturn, and when I played it there, I'd never seen any goddamn thing ever like it. We have much more sophisticated third-person kind of dragon flying around games.
Yeah, it's time to take it to the next level.
Which this game looked fantastic because once again, it was you know, when you have a path through a level that never really seems to change, you can make that path look incredible because you're controlling where the player camera is able to kind of be looking. So it looked very, very good, but it's not really like the actual gameplay style was pretty much exactly like original Panzer Dragoon. Like there was a different. There was a sub-weapon that you could switch to that was kind of cool where you'd shoot lightning out of the dragon's mouth. There were times when you killed enemies that you would see like a drops from the enemies, so you had some kind of equipment or kitting screen. I never played Panzer Dragoon Orta, so all that stuff could totally be in that game. And some of the guys in front of me who were playing it were big fans of Panzer Dragoon, and they said that it was absolutely fantastic. I'm a middle-of-the-road fan of Panzer Dragoon because I like playing it, but
I've never really played it, but I've always been curious about it. It always looks like something that I thought would be fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's just not the sort of game that I feel like I really have an interest in playing over and over and over again. So this seems like a decent enough entry, and like if this was one of those things that was a launch title on the Xbox One, if it was one of those things on the shelf, I could see it be one of those things that you pick up or you rent and you play because you got the new console and there's not really all that much out for it. So yeah, there was that. So why don't we go back to you? So I've gone through two now. Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, after all this, I was just kind of walking up to see whatever I could play. And I saw something that we're going to have a lot of fun with.
What's that?
It's DC Scribblenauts Unmasked.
Okay.
Which I was trying to stump it with DC characters.
Oh, yeah?
I went up and the level was the Batcave. And there was Alfred standing there at the Bat computer. And the guy is coaching me through it, and he's like, "What's your favorite DC character?" And I'm like, "Batman, because I'm not a faggot." What do you think I was going to say? It's like, what kind of question is that? Does anybody else say anything other than that? Because they're wrong.
I'm not going to get into that conversation with you right now.
No,
we'll do that later. We'll do it some other time.
But I said Batman. I typed in Batman, and he goes, "Okay," and then this whole list of Batman variants comes up,
such as
Batman Gaslight,
okay,
Batman Year One, Batman Kingdom Come, Batman the 70s, Batman Beyond.
What about that dumb Zora-Nar?
Yeah, Batman of Zora-Nar.
Okay,
yeah, you could do that. So what it's about just like all these different versions?
So the dumb Nightfall Batman that they have in
Arkham.
I
think so. Yeah.
Animated series Batman.
I don't know. Yeah, there were like 36 different Batmans to choose from.
Wow.
Yeah, and basically, if it's been in the comic books,
could you select all? Could you Control A and just
select? Yeah, just put all of them.
Just type it in Scribblenauts, all the Batmen.
Oh man, I should have done that. But I put Batman on there, and then they're like, "Okay, now you got to put a villain in there for him to fight." And I was like, "Okay, Larfleeze." So I put in Larfleeze, the Orange Lantern, and Larfleeze promptly kicked Batman's ass. So I called in Nightwing, and then it was just like, I'm going to call in fucking KG Beast.
Uh-huh.
And the Question, I brought in Martian Manhunter, who just started unleashing hell.
What about
Bizarro?
Grodd. If you've got adjectives, can you do Bizarro Darkside?
I didn't try that. There's a lot of stuff like that you can. It seems like that you can do. It seems like it's a lot more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really
Dude, I saw the goddamn anti-monitor and the trailer for that.
Anti-monitor. Yeah, all sorts of insane shit on that. So it's Scribblenauts, but it's with just about any DC character from the comics that you can think of. It was nuts, man. But I didn't really get into the Scribblenauts part of it because I was just like, okay, I'm going to try to put this guy in there.
Right.
I'm going to try to put this guy in there.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Okay. All right, cool. I've actually considered bringing, I think that with some of the previous videos that we've recorded in our lifetimes, Scribblenauts was one of my favorites, and I was thinking, maybe someday we will go. Maybe someday we'll go all the way through DC Scribblenauts.
Hey.
Maybe that would be. DC Scribblenauts is fun because you just screw it up.
Yeah.
All right, I want to make zombie anti-monitor. Does that mean he's good now? I don't know.
Right.
All right. Well, from there, let's see. Let me just roll down this list and pick something else. I played Killer Instinct. Very briefly, I have to say that there were no devs there. It was just two controllers.
Sure.
And I played this kid, and we were both trying to figure it out and kick each other's ass as fast as we possibly could. There were two characters. It was Saberwolf and Jago. Yeah.
Jago. Sorry, I can't not do
that. I know. I think I got like a 30-hit combo with some kind of automatic thing where I hit some buttons and he started hitting him and hitting him and hitting him and hitting him.
Yeah.
It has, I don't know I can't remember if original Killer Instinct this where it's like if you beat them, you keep your health bar from round one until they take that all the way down, and then you get to the second health bar. So there aren't, you basically just have to knock down two chunks of health before you die.
And it's free.
It's what I hear is that it's going to be free with one character, and then you've got to buy the rest of them. And I've heard some people be very outraged about that, but I'm like, how much do the rest of them cost altogether? Because you could buy them all for $30, $40. Who cares?
How is that a bad deal?
Yeah. I mean, if they jack up the price or do something stupid with it, maybe, but it doesn't seem like that big of a thing to me. Sorry, you guys that are really upset. From there, I played Splinter Cell Blacklist. For a good 20 minutes.
I've never been a Splinter Cell fan.
Yeah.
I've played a little bit of it.
See, Splinter Cell is a weird one for me because when it first came out, it was an Xbox title. And I don't think, I'm going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that when it was originally came out, it was either timed or it was for the first one, for a while, it was a...
and it's not...
Xbox.
Michael Ironside doing the voice anymore.
No, and I don't know who the fuck they've got doing that voice, but I don't like him. And I guess I'm willing.
He's the guy who also does the voice for Winnie the Pooh.
Is it really?
No.
Oh, okay. It could be.
Maybe. I don't know.
He doesn't seem like. Here's the weird thing: is that Sam Fisher's always been an older character.
Yeah.
And this guy sounds way younger, and the character model looks way younger. And I'm like, is it a prequel? Because they keep talking in the trailers like they're creating fourth echelon, and Sam Fisher's always worked for third echelon as the NSA organization that he's worked for. So I'm like, it's got to be later in the timeline. Why does he look and sound younger? Did he get put into the Lazarus pit, or are we going to explain this, or is it just going to be like, nope, go fuck yourself? But I played it. To be honest, it plays an awful lot to me like Splinter Cell Conviction did.
Okay.
You're moving from place to place. You got the mark and execute system is back, where you melee kill somebody and then you can execute all the people around them. There was a dog. Felt real bad about killing the dog, as always. Some of the enemies, it seems like they're pretty twitchy. I had to play through the demo a few times just to be able to get farther in it because there's a sniper that kept killing me. It looks fine. It was an Xbox 360 title. It looks fine. It sounds fine outside of the voice. I'm going to play it. It seems a lot like a Splinter Cell game, and they weren't exactly showing off like, check out the smart glass integration, or you could do this crazy thing that you've never done in a Splinter Cell game before.
You see, the appropriate answer if someone tells you to check out this smart glass integration, so drop your pants and say, check out my hairy butthole.
Okay. Well...
and then you rub it on the smart glass.
I like this franchise. I don't know. But nobody else seemed to. It was one of the... I walked right up. Some guy left. I started playing. I kept dying and looking behind me to see if somebody was waiting to play, and it was just like, nope. By the way, as a quick aside, the Xbox booth at E3 is one of the worst put together booths I've ever seen, because they have these game stations where you have to stack up like 2 or 3 people on this side, and then right behind there is like the main concourse of people walking back and forth. So I was standing in line and there were just people, bam, sorry, bam, sorry, bam, so just running into you the entire time. There'd be some guy standing behind you who's getting pushed up against you, and you're just like, oh, quit touching me, asshole, you got SARS or something. But yeah,
he's like, I just climbed out of a ball pit. I have Super AIDS.
Oh no,
don't touch me.
Not Super AIDS. Yeah. Anyway, Splinter Cell Conviction looks a lot like a Splinter Cell game. I liked it better last time around when it was a little bit more low tech, but whatever. I'll take whatever I can get as far as stealth goes. So,
what's the next one?
It's back to you to talk about the.
I'm running out of stuff.
So I know. That's why I'm doing 2 in a row.
Okay. I played Lego Marvel for a little bit.
Okay.
You know me, I'm a huge Marvel fan, much more so than DC. This was a Lego game.
Okay. Is that it?
With Marvel characters. Yeah.
Who did you play as?
I played a couple. I played as Magneto for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I played as Spider-Man. They each have their own little abilities and stuff like that. Played as Iron Man for a bit. They had it where you could choose from a ton of different characters. Agent Coulson was in there. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things about the Lego games, especially like, the Star Wars ones. You can pick characters and pick variants on characters and just unlock just tons of them. Mm-hmm. And this seemed like that. We were in Asgard, and
was it voice acting? Was it
yes.
Dialogue?
There's dialogue. I didn't hear any, but there is dialogue in it.
Did it seem like it was that funny Lego?
No. It was actual words.
No. But I mean, did it seem like it was the funny Lego plots where it's mostly just played for yucks?
Oh, I didn't even get into it that far.
Oh, okay.
I just kind of played around with it that one level and was like, it plays like the Lego games, but it's still got that weird diagonal where it's like, it's split screen. Nope, you guys are close enough. It's not split screen anymore.
Yeah.
I hated that. So distracting. It really has ruined the last couple of Lego games for me. But yeah, I mean, I still might play it a little bit more because it's got just so many of the characters that I love and am familiar with. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Lego games are starting for me to hit a wall because I didn't really ever play any of them. And then last year, I think we played Lego DC Batman, 2 DC Superheroes, mm-hmm. and then Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. And we also played one of the Clone Wars ones.
That was like the year before last, though.
Was
right?
it?
I think I played 2 last year, and it was just like, I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm kind of over it.
And then we played briefly that Lego City,
Lego City Undercover
Crackdown, or whatever it was.
Okay, so Lego Marvel, another Lego game. You know what? We're starting to rub up against the 1 hour mark, so I'm going to roll down some of the stuff that after I played Splinter Cell, I went back over to the Sony booth and found a little secret area where there was nobody guarding any PlayStation 4s. So, I want to talk real briefly about the controller and then the stuff I played over there, and then we'll take a quick break. So one thing that I didn't know that nobody seems to have said out loud when I picked up the PlayStation 4 controller for the first time, that touchpad is a button.
Yeah.
It's
a touchpad and a button.
Right. It's a touchpad, but when you click it in, it audibly, it clicks in like a button. The PlayStation 4 controller feels very similar to the PlayStation 3 controller.
Yeah.
The triggers are a little bit better. I know a lot of people don't like the squishiness of the triggers. They feel a little bit more solidly put together. Most of the buttons seem very mistake. Just to briefly jump back, the Xbox One D-pad seems like it's a little bit better because it's just a straight cross than the circle D-pad.
Yeah.
But it's a very shallow button. So it's like they're making. It's because I was playing when I was playing Killer Instinct. I was using it.
Yeah.
because that's better for doing fireball motions and things like that. And it's weird because it's better than the Xbox 360, but it's still not, in my opinion, as good as the Sony one. Anyway, Sony PlayStation 4 controller, got the little move light on the front, it's got the touchpad on the top, it's got the share button, which I kept trying to push because I thought it was the select button because I kept looking for a way to invert my controls.
Of course you did.
Right.
And what are you trying to do, sir? I'm trying to invert my controls. Why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah. The guy who was running
We got an inverter.
The guy that was running it said that I started by playing that Blacklight Retribution game, and the guy that was running the demo was like, yeah, my boss does that, and he came by to play the game that we were working on, and there's no way in this tech demo to invert your controls. But no, I played this Blacklight Retribution game. It seems like a fairly generic sci-fi first-person shooter. It sounds like we're
getting past modern warfare.
Right, we're entering
into sci-fi.
Yeah, we're entering the era of killing the sci-fi FPS game. But it was a multiplayer game, very bland environment, very sharp graphics, very nice frame rate. Everything looked very nice. A little bit nicer than I would have expected. But it was just like, fine dude, left trigger, right trigger, shoot dude, left trigger, right trigger. It's hard for me to get a really good read on how it played because I couldn't invert my controls. So it was like, this is not playing the way I want to play a video game.
Sure. It's like you're a lefty.
Yep, pretty much. I briefly considered coming back from E3 and just like forcing myself to learn how to play uninverted for the sake of mankind and not getting shit anymore on the internet, apparently.
Oh, I'm visualizing a montage sequence.
Yep. We'll play Rocky music. But the one cool thing that I did notice on there that I thought was really nifty was that I brushed like kind of like an arc on the touchpad, like to the like from the middle up to the left, like in like a quarter circle, and the character put his hand up and did like a wave emote. And I was like, yeah, it seems like an interesting way to use that little pad down there.
What was this on again?
PlayStation 4.
Yeah, what was the game again?
Blacklight Retribution.
Blacklight Retribution. Okay.
Yeah. Other than that game is entirely generic, and I mean, like, hey, you know what? We'll look at it again when we get closer to it being out, whenever the fuck that is. But I'm going to say right now, I don't really recommend anybody get real excited about it because it seems like a fairly generic first-person shooter. From there, I played two more. We're going to go over two more, then we'll take a quick break. I played Octodad, the Dadliest Catch.
Yeah.
I could not stop laughing the entire time. Like, imagine, okay, so the demo opened up, and some of you may have played Octodad before, and you'd be like, well, duh, it was always awesome. Why didn't you play it before? Okay, fine, I understand. But it opened up at Octodad's wedding. And so you have this octopus that's kind of like in this people suit, like really skinny shirt, skinny pants. And the first thing that you have to do is get out of this room that you're in. And you're standing in front of a mirror, and there's like a table full of like hair gel and stuff in front of you. And they're like, okay, use the right stick to move, or if you hold down the R1 button, or no, you use the right stick. You move your right octopus arm. If you use the right stick, you move X and Y. So up, down, left, and right. And then you use the left stick to move Z motions.
Oh, my gosh.
So you do this, and it's like playing Surgeon Simulator. So you do this, and the first thing that this octopus dressed up like a man does is shove his tentacle on this thing and then just knock everything onto the floor. And then underneath everything, there's a key. And so you pick up this key, and you hold down the R1 button to pick stuff up. And then you have to, like, just touch these locks with a key to open them. And you open up this medicine cabinet, and you get stuff out of it. And the first thing you have to do is go grab your tuxedo. So that is moving your arm. And then if you hit the L1 button, you switch from moving arms to moving legs. And the way that you move legs is you hold down the L2 button, and then you move the left stick to move the leg around. And it's a fixed camera angle. So it's like somebody has a little virtual hand that grabs the end of the left leg of this octopus guy and just starts stretching it all over the screen. So you end up doing these, like, it's hard to you guys at home can't see this, but it's like, because you have to manually move each leg forward. So you going through this chapel, and like you go into this room that has a disco floor and a cake and whatever, and I was trying to get something off the top of the cake, and then just ended up throwing everything on the ground.
Curse my boneless body.
But it's one of those games where just like the developers know that just the act of playing it is so ridiculous that it's hilarious, and I cannot wait now to play Octodad, because I think that it's going to make for one hell of a video with you and I. So there's Octodad, and then the last thing that I played was this game that I'd never heard of before called Contrast. It's a PSN title. And it looked a little bit...
where like two dudes go and fight aliens in the jungle, and you do up, down, left, right, PA start.
No, that's Blaster Master that you're thinking.
Blaster Master.
That's
what it was.
Contrast is a PSN game. It's got a lady protagonist who is an acrobat, apparently. She's dressed up in kind of like it's like a dingy version of BioShock Infinite, where like she's wearing like these thigh-high like stockings that have black and white vertical stripes on them, and like a bustier, and it's in a weird kind of retro,
sexy, yes,
jazzy 1920s, 30s, weird burlesque type of thing.
Shit, you're hitting a lot of notes, man.
But she's got this little girl sidekick that she's hanging out with, and they all look a little bit like BioShock. But the biggest conceit of this game is that you get into this area, and this lady, she can't go through this one little section, and so the girl turns on this light and puts the light on this cart, and it shines a shadow up against the wall. And it turns out that this woman has the power to go up to a wall and become a shadow on the wall, and then run up the shadow as a shadow, and then come out of the wall again. So all these
weird mechanics.
Yeah, puzzles based on like there's this one mechanic where you go into this nightclub, you have to turn on these spotlights, and it seems like a lot of the game is like you're shining lights on ghosts, and then you see or something. I couldn't hear it because they didn't have subtitles turned on really loud in there. You shine the light like on this where this band would normally be, and then you see the shadows of the band cast up against the wall. So you get a guy playing the stand-up bass, and then you get this guy who's a drummer, and he's playing the drums kind of real slow, and you see his like head and his shoulder, and his arm keeps coming up because it's like the light source is far enough away that it casts a big shadow on the wall behind him. And then they ask your character to fix the third light, and so you have to use the drummer's shadow to run up onto the balcony and then turn on this third light that triggers this weird, like, Jessica Rabbit, 1950s, like, crooning lady seductress thing.
Yeah.
Like, it starts out with the third light turns on a shadow of a piano that has a woman, like, draped across the piano, and then she gets up and starts singing. And then you follow her shadow into this weird kind of like murder mystery type of thing. I don't know what it was, but I looked at it and was just like, I want to play this game.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, and like I bet you that if you get over to the Sony booth tomorrow, I found a little secret place upstairs. There was nobody up there. I got to play these three games that I just talked about like in the span of 20 minutes. And then they gave me a bottle of water, and I was like, oh, bless you, Sony.
I'm the winner. Do you ever have to do like shadow puppets with the Kinect? Like, here's a dog.
No. This is
a dinosaur.
This is in the PlayStation booth.
Oh, it's on the PlayStation booth. Okay.
Where, you know what? I didn't look real closely, and we'll look more tomorrow, but I didn't see a single move in the entire place. I didn't see a single dumb place set up with some, like, check out this new... Nope. Just PS4s, PS3s, PS Vitas. That was all I saw, as far as the eye could see. So, yeah. All right, well, we're at an hour mark, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left to go. So we're going to take a quick break. We should be able to finish those 7 up because most of them is me, and I'll just run through them.
All right, RageSelect.com. Check us out. We're at E3 playing shit and standing in lines and making fun of people and smelling all the wonderful smells.
I'm going to electrocute you in the break here and wake you up. Just zot you real fast.
Sorry, my sluggish.
You look like you're about to just fall asleep in the middle of the podcast. Anyway, check back, everybody, for part 2 of the recap of day 1 of E3 of RageSelect.com.